Looking for a cosmic adventure like no other? Zatswan, Multiversal Guardian is a high-stakes comic book journey through the multiverse with stunning art and an unforgettable hero. Get your copy today in ebook and paperback formats. Link in the description.
Hey everybody, this is Neil Allen, the creator of Zatswan Multiversal Guardian, a graphic novel which you can purchase on Amazon. The link to that will be in the description. If you do pick it up, please leave reviews, that does help a lot. So I recently did a soft pastel piece for Zatswan. This will be appearing in Volume 2, Stardust Embrace. I wanted to take you through my process while I was working on it, and you know how I put it. We can see how I put it together and some of the thoughts that I was thinking while I was doing it. So let's take a look at that. Okay, so I start things out actually using colored pencils, regular colored pencils. These are Derwent Pro Color, and I'm just getting in the line work on Luxe Archival paper, which is a really neat sanded paper. It's good for colored pencils as well as pastels. You could also even do like watercoloring on it. And here are the Unison soft pastel half sticks that I'm going to be using. Once I get the line work in with the colored pencils, I go in with the Unisons here. And the first thing I want to do is get down the deepest shadows and also those glowy parts. I'm using surgical gloves here, as you can see. Some people like to do pastels like with their bare hands. I don't care to, actually. Some people actually, oh, looks like I'm sharpening or cleaning off a blending stump. That's how you do it. You get like this sandpaper thing, and then you rub it across the sandpaper to like get the pastel off. But what I was saying about the surgical gloves, yeah, some people actually like getting their hands really messy with pastel. I actually don't. I prefer to keep my hands clean, so I just use gloves. That is like one of the downsides of pastels, though. It's kind of a messy medium, or it can be. I won't say that it is by default. It certainly can be. It has the potential to be messier than many other mediums, actually, just because there's so much dust and it moves around so much, and you're actually encouraged to blend with your hands, your fingers. Okay, what I'm using there is not. Those are not actual regular colored pencils, those are pastel pencils. So it's like pastel in pencil form, really good for detail work, like, because pastels are not the most precise medium, but if you get them in pencil form, you can do a lot more precision work with them. So I'm just getting down the shadows and I'm going over the dark areas with white to lighten them up. So pastels are pretty interesting because you could either go dark to light or light to dark. Some mediums like watercolor and colored pencil, you're nearly always encouraged to go from light to dark, but pastels, you can put your darks down first, go over top of them with your lights. So AC Cooper, Zatswan's costume here, is actually, the part I'm working on is white. That the part of the, well, now I'm working on the red part of it. But the interesting thing about white is that white is not, it's usually never a pure white, because what it's doing is reflecting all the colors around it. So even though I lay down all those colors on that part of his costume, his costume is actually white. White and red, those are the main colors. So it's interesting. I've been getting a lot of really nice reviews for Multiversal Guardian recently, which you can purchase again on Amazon in the description. And one of the things that people are commonly mentioning, or it comes up often enough, is that it is not an AI art book. So I know a lot of artists like, and I think I'm gonna make another video on this that goes more into the topic, but a lot of artists are like afraid of AI. But you know what I've actually found interesting I think that people, with the advent of artificial intelligence driven artwork, people, from what I'm seeing with Zatswan, are appreciating actual hand done traditional art even more, in some respects, because I guess it's refreshing to see, you know, and people just appreciate something that was made by an actual person. So, okay, there's the logo, his chest emblem. You gotta be pretty precise here. So I'm using pencils to do that. Get that, it's like, you know, yeah, so I'm getting that glowy effect with the traditional method. So this is like a sunset piece, so that's why I'm adding all these orange highlights everywhere, so we can get that sort of golden hour effect. And I'm sculpting up his face here. I'm going to make adjustments to it as the piece goes on. You know, I think I've kind of covertly like gotten a little bit of a minor mini cold or something, because I'm kind of feeling like I have a little bit of shortness of breath, and sometimes that happens to me when I'm getting a cold. Like I could feel it in my throat. I think I'm getting over it though. I think it was so small I wasn't sure if I had it or not, but I was feeling a little out of it like a couple days ago, and I was like, wasn't sure like if that was just in my head or what. But you know, now that I, you know, just talking in this video, I'm kind of feeling like I have a little bit of shortness of breath, which is like a symptom I could get sometimes if I, you know, have a little bit of sickness. So I'm working on the hair now. I will sculpt his face a bit more later, because he was looking too much like that guy from that show, The Office. Like, I've never actually watched that show. Never really appealed to me. Not that I'm saying it's bad or anything. It just wasn't going to be something that I was going to watch on my own, at least. But I have seen like the star of it just in memes and stuff like that, and I was like, he's looking too much like that guy in the face. So later on I will sculpt the face up a bit more. That's the neat thing about pastels though. You can just go over. Okay, that's a fixative. So what that does is, so pastels are movable. Like if I swiped my hand over that, then like it will smudge and go everywhere. But if you spray a fixative over it, it will fix the pastels in place. So like they won't just move. Now that particular type of fixative I was using, you could use inside. Most of the time they stink and they're toxic, and you're going to want to go outside to like spray that. So if you get a fixative, then make sure you know what you're getting. I got that particular one because it's able to be used indoors, and it doesn't smell, and it's not toxic. So don't think that you can just do that, like spray it indoors with any fixative, because it's encouraged that you go outside usually to do that. Now we're working on Alakazona, as you can see. I honestly can't remember what I was talking. I think I was talking about The Office. Yeah, like the AC Cooper's face was looking like that guy from The Office, so I will go back and work on it. Getting in her like blonde hair here with like a cream colored pastel pencil. So the pastel pencils I'm using in this piece are Caran d'Ache pastel pencils and Stabilo Carbatello pastel pencils. Those are my go-to pastel pencils. I have like full sets of both of them. But yeah, working on Alakazona. Oh, I was also talking about that appreciation for traditional art. Yeah, it's definitely working in my favor. People just like, traditional art's never gonna go away. People just like it and appreciate it too much, and people just love doing it too much. So, like, that's not something I worry about, like traditional art going away or something like that. That's just not gonna happen. Like I was saying, from what I've been, hearing in the reviews, and I really thank everybody for leaving reviews for the book. That just helps like tremendously. people really appreciate, you know, the traditional art of Zatswan. So that really encourages me to keep on doing it, which I, you know, I would anyway, if I'm being completely honest, because honestly, you know, I really do this type of stuff because I love doing it. So yeah, when you're doing pastels, I'm looking at what I'm doing with these blending stumps. The things you're gonna want are, like, if you don't know, like, breaking into a medium can be challenging. Like, you might not know where to start, what you need. It's a good idea to get blending stumps of various sizes. It's a good idea to get, what do you call those things? I'll have to, I don't know. It's like a card, it's like a, not a cardboard, it's like a sandpaper block type of thing that you can clean the blending stumps with. You're going to want one of those. Oh, okay, now we're bringing in the pan pastels. It's like every time I like get going with something, something new. Every time I get going with a subject, something new happens in this video. So you're going to want to get, you might want gloves too if you want to guard your, you know, like if you don't want your fingers getting super messy. And oh, your paper is going to be very important. Like Pastel loves a very toothy paper. Typically like sanded papers like work best with Pastel. And you know, then of course you want some pastels, and as you can see in this video, the pastels come in various forms. I'm using what are called pan pastels here. And I'm applying them with the applicator, soft tools. That's like what these tools I'm using to apply the pan pastels. Pastels are like so pigmented, they're like pure pigment and no binder. That's one reason why they're so messy. There's like no binder holding it together, you're just using like pigment, and it's like powdery. Pan pastels, as you can see, are cool for filling in areas very quickly. And now to get that kind of sky, I have to make this blend here. Which the thing to do, like, you're not seeing me doing it, you're not seeing me do this in the picture, but the thing to do is like get down layers and then apply the fixative so those layers don't move, because you might not actually want to blend. Again, you might just want to go on top of a layer, and Pastel will just move and blend. So it's to get down, you know, good layers, then apply the fixative, let that dry for a couple minutes, then go over those layers again, and then just do that until you get the result that you're looking for. But beware, like some people don't like fixatives because they can kind of adjust, they can kind of like mess with your colors a bit. Don't apply too much fixative. Like as little as you can get away with is a good idea, I think. But yeah, now we're working in those clouds, which is a really dynamic part of this piece. But yeah, that's really encouraging to like hear like all the praise for the art in Zatswan and how people just appreciate that it's like hand done. Like I've heard so many comments about that, and I was like, I'll make another video about this, but it's like, it makes me think, is that the standard that we've gotten to, or the standard that we're headed towards, where AI art is like what people expect to see? Now that's kind of a bleak thought, but it doesn't faze me at all because I'm not going that way, and people appreciate, like I said, there are people who really appreciate seeing something that's like hand done. So yeah, I'll never stop doing actual hand done traditional art, because I mean, for no other reason other than I just love doing it. It's like super duper fun. That's another reason too why I don't like do much digital art. It's just not nearly as fun for me. So, you know, it's not nearly as fun, and to me typically it doesn't look as good. I mentioned that in another, all other things being equal, that is. I mentioned that in another video. But you're actually, yeah, you're seeing how I, you know, get this art in. You know, honestly, most people I've seen doing pastel pieces do not use gloves like I do. But yeah, I just have these disposable like surgical gloves that I use, you know, and they get the job done well. So you're seeing that I'm kind of losing some of my edges as I add in this background and the edges of my characters, and that doesn't bother me because I can fix it, but that is like, that can be kind of avoided if I use the thing called a frisket. It's like a paper that you put over. You have to like cut out the outline of the character or whatever subject, you know, and it's like you do it with an X-Acto knife and then you like kind of like paste it over. It's difficult to explain without showing you. Frisket, I'm not that great at using it, but that's probably just because I don't use it that much. I have a bunch of it. I should probably use it more just so I can get better at like using and applying frisket. Maybe I'll show you in another video, but yeah, I could have avoided losing those edges to the characters if I had like put a frisket over them. But you know, I don't mind. I just like add back in what I need to. Right now I'm adding that kind of like halo, that like rim light effect, you know, which goes well with the sunset, and I'm doing that with a white pastel pencil. So yeah, that is a cool thing about pastels. You can just go over stuff. If you do something that is like a mistake, or you go over something that you didn't mean to, you could just go right back over it and fix it with pastel. With like watercolor, you can't do that. So all these art mediums have their like pros and cons. Like sometimes they're good at some things, not as good as others. But yeah, this is kind of a romantic picture of the two sitting together enjoying a sunset. Which I've been having some really interesting discussions with people on the channel about stuff. Like we've been talking about like, why does Marvel's interracial romance, like with their various characters like Captain Marvel and War Machine, why is that so bad? Go check out those videos and, you know, make sure to leave comments and get involved in the discussion. I apologize for the shaky camera here. We're getting in this fence. Well, you know, about that though, I understand how that can be frustrating, and you know, when you're looking for these characters to be like well-developed, fully fleshed out characters that you can dive into, and they just end up being kind of, you know, lacking in a lot of respects. That is frustrating, but you know, myself, I saw an opening there. Because yeah, so much of stuff like from these like mainstream comic companies is so like I don't even know if like half efforts are a good description, or something less than that. But it's really hard to get invested into the stories and the characters when they just don't, the people doing them, for whatever their reasons, I'm sure those reasons, I know some of them, a lot of it has to do with they don't own these properties, but it's hard for the reader to get invested in that stuff when the people are just showing you they just really don't care that much. Like the writers and the people don't own the properties. But you know, I wanted to give something that people could like get invested in and, you know, feel fulfilled with, you know, when they see it and when they read it. So yeah, I wanted, it's important for me to do like the romance with the characters like really well and do it deeply. So now we're adding in some weathering to this fence that they're sitting on. I'm starting that off with a pastel pencil actually. And the picture's starting to really come together. Now we're just filling in some of those little white spaces that I left behind, and doing that again with the pastel pencils, since they're really good at doing things that are precise. I did show this picture to somebody, you know, a confidant, and they were like, you should have them sitting closer together. But then they're like, oh, I see that their hands are touching, so that kind of, you know, that's good enough at creating that intimacy. So now I think the picture is really coming together, and we're just going to start putting together the finishing touches. Start sculpting the faces a bit better to how I like it. And that's the interesting, yeah, that's the thing to remember when you're doing your artwork. It's probably going to go through quite a bit of ugly phases, but just remember that the piece isn't finished yet. Ugly phases of your art, that's like regular. Okay, yeah, they're really coming together now, I'm seeing. So now I want to sculpt up Alika more and get her shadows in better. But this is what it is like when I'm doing artwork. This is like what it looks like. And these are the various steps. Okay, so now we're gonna get in. Oh, I think, yeah, that looks awesome. I'm really pleased with that. I think that is like the piece. Really happy with this. It came out really, really well. I think the characters look good, and it's a good, convincing scene that tells a story. You know, like you can kind of feel the emotions of the characters just by seeing the art, and that's like when art's at its best, when it tells a story, I think, just by, and that story is easily discernible just by looking at it. But it looks like we are coming to the end of this, everybody. Thanks for hanging out, and I will talk to all of you again very soon, okay? Take care, and be sure to check out Multiversal Guardian in the link in the description, and be sure to like and subscribe.